Hey everyone, it's Brian, and as we continue our journey through the regions of Europe, we turn today to the north. The region, as you probably expected and now know, is Northern Europe. What you probably didn't expect is that our European travels today will actually take us all the way back to North America. As we begin our look at Northern Europe and its member nations and their locations, environments, and climates, let's begin by introducing the nations located in the region. They include Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Finland on the mainland, and then the island of Iceland in the North Atlantic. Oh, and Greenland, which is technically part of North America, as you can see. However, because Greenland politically and culturally has so much in common with North Europe, we've grouped it here. Remember in earlier lessons we talked about formal, functional, and perceptual regions of Europe? Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark, meaning it functions mostly as an independent nation, although it is part of the Danish kingdom. The island is huge, the world's largest non-continental, with almost 840,000 square miles of land, most of it frozen tundra. Let's put it this way. Greenland, located in the North Atlantic east of Canada, is about 3.5 times the size of Ukraine, Europe's second largest nation. In the North Atlantic, less than 200 miles southeast of Greenland, is Iceland. Less than 1/20th the size of Greenland, Iceland is located nearly 900 miles from the European mainland. Denmark is the smallest of the nations of Northern Europe. Even including the Faroe Islands, which are Danish territories in the North Atlantic, Denmark is just over 17,000 square miles, less than half the size of Iceland. Denmark is located between the North and Baltic Seas on the Jutland Peninsula and includes islands that have been named and many more small ones that have not. One thing to keep in mind, if you included Greenland with Denmark, it would easily be the second largest nation in Europe behind only Russia. Denmark's only land boundary is with Germany to the south. Finland shares a lengthy border with Russia, its neighbor to the east, and smaller borders with Sweden to the west and Norway to the north. In the south, Finland is bounded by two gulfs of the Baltic Sea, the Gulf of Bothnia to the west and the Gulf of Finland to the south. The Scandinavian peninsula nations of Norway and Sweden complete the region. Both, along with Finland, are among Europe's 8 largest countries with at least 130,000 square miles apiece and are among only 10 nations in Europe with an area of more than 100,000 square miles. Norway is the farthest west of the two and features an extensive coastline which borders the Atlantic Ocean to the west and the Barents Sea to the north, with Sweden, its neighbor, to the west. The Skagerrak Strait separates Norway from Denmark to the south. Sweden and Norway share a border of more than 1,000 miles. Sweden shares a northern border with Finland and is actually connected to Denmark in the southwest by a bridge tunnel across and under the Øresund Strait. Environment. Denmark, which is primarily flat with little elevation, has been largely deforested of its Atlantic and Baltic mixed forests to create more farmland. The coastline is sandy, and there's a good chance you'll spot porpoises, whales, and seals while walking on the beach. The terrain of Norway, with almost 240,000 islands, is much different. It's mountainous with more than 400,000 lakes, with high terrain and many glaciers and fjords, which are long, narrow inlets with steep sides and cliffs created by those glaciers. In fact, National Geographic lists Norway's fjords as one of the world's top tourist destinations. Scandinavia, the Scandinavian mountain chain, separates Norway from Sweden. Almost 2/3 of the land in Sweden is covered with forest. Most of Sweden receives little precipitation each year, ranging from 20 to 31 inches, making it considerably drier than most of the planet. Across the Gulf of Bothnia, Finland is similarly covered with trees. In fact, Finland, covered mostly by coniferous taiga forest, is the largest producer of lumber in Europe. The terrain includes over 168,000 lakes and is mostly flat with few hills and even fewer mountains. Iceland, located where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Arctic, features fjords similar to those found in Norway. Iceland is also home to numerous geysers, which produce geothermal energy to provide electrical power and heat throughout the island. And on the expanse of the island of Greenland, 3/4 of the land is covered by ice. In fact, Greenland is home to the only permanent ice sheet not found in Antarctica. Climate. Almost all of Greenland is located in the polar climate zone, as you'd expect. The island is also a top destination for research regarding climate change and has produced some interesting information. Specifically between 1989 and 1993, U.S. and European researchers drilled into the summit of Greenland's ice sheet, obtaining a pair of ice cores nearly 2 miles long. The analysis of the chemical composition and layering provided evidence, as you see on the graphic, dating back about 100,000 years, which shows the Earth's weather and temperature have often shifted rapidly. Between 1991 and 2004, monitoring of the weather at different locations showed that the average winter temperature in Greenland had risen almost 11 degrees Fahrenheit during that time. And in 2021, rain fell on the summit of Greenland's ice cap. It was the first time in recorded history that rain was documented there. Scientists attribute the precipitation to climate change. The climate of Iceland is mostly tundra with subpolar oceanic climate zones along the southern coast. The North Atlantic Current helps Iceland maintain a warmer climate than most locations at similar latitudes. Similarly, the climate of Finland is almost completely subarctic, except for the southern coast, which is humid continental. Sweden benefits from the North Atlantic Current as well. Most of the nation is in the temperate climate zone, with 4 distinct seasons and mild temperatures throughout the year. Denmark is much the same. Temperate climates are found in most of the nation. A cooler climate can be found in Norway. Because of their proximity next to the Atlantic, western and northern Norway is often fully exposed to Atlantic storm fronts. Overall, the nation enjoys a continental subarctic climate with warmer summers along the southern coasts and polar climates in the highlands. Conclusion. While you might need a coat when visiting Northern Europe during the winter, we're pretty sure you won't need one year-round in nations such as Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. They benefit from the warm air pushed from the Caribbean and enjoy a milder climate than most countries at similar latitudes. The nations of this region offer a lot of natural beauty too. Majestic fjords, bubbling geysers, magnificent glaciers, and spectacular lakes are everywhere, along with thousands of islands spread along the European coast. Next lesson, we'll look closely at the people who live here. Until next time, keep exploring. Hey!